I know it's been a very, very long time. And um, but I am actually here for two purposes. And it's been a lot going on. My dog died, so I've been extremely sad. So now, for those of you who complained about my dog, there's no barking anymore. It's complete and utter silence. I don't want to start crying. So let's look at something positive. The Best Man. Now, my book is terrible. I bought a new version of it, so it won't look this beat up. But I didn't realize it's a part of a trilogy. I'm extremely happy about that. But I'm giving you a book review on The Best Man. hmm So first off, the book picks up. Okay, so I don't know. I don't recommend this book if you have not watched The Best Man, The Best Man Holiday, and then there's a series on Peacock, the Best Man series, and then this book picks up exactly where that leaves off. There is no zero like like there's no real break. So they don't explain any of the characters. If you watch the first movie or the second movie and you're just like, and then you read this book and you're like, well, what's happening here? How did this happen? So this picks up exactly with Harper is in his hoe phase and he's dating this chick, and this chick is, it doesn't matter her name. And this chick is, much younger, and, he's on a press tour for his book, and you have, um, his ex-wife, Robin, and his daughter in Africa, Ghana, and we've discovered that she's dating somebody. And, it's kind of funny to think about this because Robin's dating a guy and she finds out after they have sex for the first time that he's married. I mean, immediately, like we haven't even put clothes back on. And it's interesting to because this is a really interesting concept that Robin would be the one to end up dating a married man. And I frankly am not fond of dating a married man. I don't know if it's just because I'm married, but even when, I mean, I know that when I was younger, I think I was maybe 20, maybe 22, 21, something like that. And I dated a guy who had a son. Yeah. And then eventually he had a daughter. Like when I first met him, he had a son. And then when we went off in our own little lanes, and then when we came back to and dated like after 6 months or something like that, he had another kid. Maybe it was longer than 6 months. And I mean I haven't spoken to him in, you know, very long time. And it got to the point where, like, when I hear people now, like the concept of when you're young and you date somebody who has kids, I know that people who have kids don't want to hear that you shouldn't date someone who's young. When someone who is young who has kids doesn't really want to hear someone say you shouldn't date someone with kids. And I get that because that's not my position, but that experience with him taught me a lot about the concept of trying to date someone with kids because it is an unbearable concept because you have to make sure that that person is like completely separated, completely done, and they have to be absolutely strong-willed in this position. And so watching um, Robin being the one who has dating somebody who's married, and yes, he's like, well, I've been dating and I've been doing this, and it doesn't matter, and we separated, and we still do family vacations, and with, and I can have you meet her, and it's like I I don't know. Because it in FYI, spoiler alert, it ends with her being pregnant by him. Well, her being pregnant. And she's like, I'm in perimenopause. I'm not pregnant. And she's pregnant and she had sex with Harper once when he came out to visit. I'll get to how that happened. But so she doesn't know who the daddy is. And I really think it's the other guy and not Harper. I mean, but it's because it leaves you on a cliffhanger. And so we don't know who the daddy is, but it leads you to some larger issues for me. And to be perfectly honest, neither one of these people need to be the dad because he has a whole family out near wherever. And Harper is, she spent way too many of her years trying to be being okay with him having just a friend in Jordan. And um, I actually, one of the things I did not like is I did not like the reaction that she had when she found out that Harper and Jordan got together. I felt like he owes her nothing. And the fact that he was in a position to where she was fighting him. And I get that this is part of like the aggression and everything else. And he deserves it all, and I get that. But what bothers me the most about it is um the judgmental. I mean, I know that she wanted this was verification for how she felt all these years, and so I appreciate that. And but at the same token, she's she's a side chick. So fast forward. I was okay, so let's go back. So Jordan and I mean, clearly it's a running joke with Harper and all these different people that he's different women that he's around that's like way too young for him, but he's keeping it going because he is just become this fuckboy, right? That's what he's listed himself as and what all his friends have listed himself as. And we get to um Jordan finally responds to Harper because she's been avoiding him. And this I can extremely relate to. I can extremely relate to the concept of where you want to be chosen, you've wanted to be with this guy forever, and he makes the decision to go all around the world and um she's like, look, tonight's the night, and they become inseparable. So it's like for those of us who are fans who have been watching Best Man all these years, it has officially been what? I think it came out in 99. So 99 or 2000, but I think it's 99. Yeah. So it's been 26 years, 25, 26 years. So we have been waiting on this. And they finally happens. And it finally is like everything we've been hoping for. Everybody in his friend group is like, finally, yo, like everybody has been here for this. And then he gets a call from his daughter and it's like, you need to come with, come to my mother. My mother needs help. She's in tears. And he doesn't get that when he's like, I gotta go be with my daughter. And she's like, well, I'll go with you. Now, I think that Jordan overstepped here, and I think her reaction was an overreaction, but I get when he's like, yeah, you're my friend. So all what we've been doing is just friends. And that's the thing that tipped her off. And he doesn't get that. And I don't know how this would work. Now, granted, it's her fault that she cut off all communication with him. But on the other hand, I mean, he's gone for like weeks, maybe what, 2 to 6. They don't explicitly say. They were together for 2 weeks. I think he's been gone for almost 6 weeks. So I don't know. It hasn't been that long. Maybe it's been at least a good 2 to 3 weeks. And I did not know, maybe I could have forgotten, but I did not remember the fact that he had Solomon, that the baby that they were had in, I think, I believe they were pregnant in between the two movies. So there's the second movie where she's really big and pregnant. That's Mia. But before that, there was another baby, and that was Solomon. And I did not know that that child exists, or I could have forgotten because I didn't, you know. But it's the weirdest thing reading it because the tone of it makes me think of the characters that we have known for 25 years. So it's hard to read this without like envisioning the picture and the look of the actors that we have seen all these years. So that's kind of strange. I've never read a book that way. But when I say that, um, Quentin is become really my most beloved character, and Quentin and Lance is hardly in this book. And it kind of makes sense only because if you're writing from the person who's kind of like, well, to be perfectly honest, this is not Harper's standpoint, but you could give us in the next book because it's not a Harper book. It's mainly centered on Harper, Robin, Jordan, and the way that it ends is that Harper finally comes back. Like he's making all these grand gestures of sending flowers and all these things, but she got a gig in Chicago. And the thing that I loved so much is how all his friends was like, you gonna come to New York, we gonna figure this out, we gonna play poker. All the men come together, they all sit around and talk, and he's like, I really love Jordan. I want to make this work. I want to be whatever. And they're like, I think he's ready. And so then they say she's in Chicago. They give him the exact location, and he's like, okay, bet. And he shows up with a ring. And I just love the statement of one of the things is she's like, I wanted to be chosen. And that is a powerful statement because I can kind of get with that understanding of all this time she wanted him to choose her and why should she make the first step. And part of that, I can understand it, but then I can also be like, look, there's a lack of maturity here, and you guys both need to choose each other. She made this grand gesture. It's now time for him to make this grand gesture, and he did with the ring. We don't know if she says yes. I mean, she's crying, but we don't know. What I would like to see in the next, so the left hanger is Robin's pregnant. We have no idea who the baby daddy is. And Harper is engaged. Well, Harper proposes to Jordan. What I would love to know more in the next book is we hardly ever get to hear anything from Lance. So I want to know Lance and how he's dealing with his children, because as we know, Lance Jr. is gay and is playing football. So it'd be nice to see how that works out, and maybe he quit playing football. And I'm curious to know more about Quentin and Shelby. Like Shelby and Jordan are like the best of friends now. So that's kind of like an interesting turn of events. And, we don't know about Quentin and Shelby's story. What I have a sneaking suspicion is that Robin's gonna keep this baby. And if Harper thinks he's gonna come back to the rescue of being the father of this child, even though he may not be the dad, and he thinks that this is Solomon coming back, I am going to be like, no, because I can't get over what Robin is going to feel. And you know what? And if Robin, not Robin, I'm sorry, Jordan. If Jordan unalives him, unalives Harper, so at the end of the day, I really think that she shouldn't have this baby. But I know that that's probably not going to be the case. So that being said, I highly encourage you read this book. It is such a page turner. Um, if I'm not sure if I'd recommend this to, like, I wouldn't recommend it to my daughter because there are quite a few sex scenes and they're very explicit. Um, So I just want to put that out there before you decide to like, oh, we can read this together with, my daughter or something. No, unless you are comfortable with them getting explicit sex scenes. But other than that, I mean, it's a really good addition. The book is kind of long. It's like over 400 pages. It's close to 500. So just to put that out there, but it is a very good read. The book's under 20. So, um, So you definitely, it only is in paperback. I don't know if it's an Audible. If you want to listen to it in Audible, I wouldn't I'm not a big fan of novels as Audibles. And the only way I'd probably do an Audible of this is if they had the original actors reading their parts. That'd be dope. But I doubt that. So as a whole, highly recommend go out and buy it. Bye. Oh yeah, the book just came out January 1st. So I'm curious to see when the sequel come out. I hope it comes out next week. I mean, next year that at the latest. Okay.